Hello everybody, Rick with Shine Lab Chemicals, and in today's video I want to talk about my beater detailing rigs, my beater mobile detailing rigs. A while ago I did a video, my cheap detailing rig, and it's all about my '03 Hyundai Accent that I used for 3 years for mobile detailing, and until just recently, when the number 4 cylinder is low on compression, so it needs a motor, and I am done putting money into that car. That's it. That's where I draw the line. Probably even wouldn't have been that much to put a motor in it. I know you can get a used motor for a Honda Civic for like 500 bucks. I didn't even get a price of a motor or anything. I just want to move on to another vehicle. So check out that video. That car actually served me well, and I've replaced it with an '05 Hyundai Santa Fe, which I picked up for a great price. I'll go over that later. But I just wanted to talk about the '03 Accent for a little bit and what it cost for me to operate that vehicle for 3 years of mobile detailing. Eastern Pennsylvania, I go to all of New Jersey, so I have a pretty busy route. I generally drive about 35,000 miles a year, so I put a lot of miles on my vehicles. And was this vehicle worth it? Did I make money? I had a lot of problems with it. I talked about some of the problems in the last video about it, but even since then I had more problems, and I have a whole big, since I had it, I have a huge, folder of repair orders. The purchase price of the vehicle, it was $0. So I did make out there. It was my father's car. He had hip replacement surgery, and it just wasn't comfortable for him to drive anymore. It's a stick shift. So I was lucky enough for him to give it to me. It had 68,000 miles on it when I got it. It had not been well maintained. It was 2 quarts low on oil. But I was very thankful to get that vehicle. So I didn't have to drive the Beamer and just put a bunch of miles on that and run that thing into the ground. And with all the trouble I had, though, I did end up using the Beamer. Whenever the Hyundai was in for service, I used the Beamer. So that worked out well. So I got it for $0, which is great. One of the first issues I had with it, at about 81,000 miles, it needed a water pump, timing belt, and went ahead and did an oil pan at that service also, because it was leaking. So that cost $475. I used my connection at AMCO in Morrisville. Those guys are great mechanics, and they give me a great deal. So again, with all of my repairs, I feel like I got a pretty good deal, except for one when we get to the transmission. Oil changes, that's consumables. Oil changes and tires, I put about 97,000 miles on it in those 3 years. And I probably did the oil, I tried to do it every 3,000, but really it turned out to be like every 4,000 miles. So that cost, that was $360 for the 3 years I had it. And then tires were $729. Now they're consumables, and you can't, that's not the car's fault doing those things. That's not breakdowns. So the next big service I had was at 102,000 miles. It needed front brakes and an axle and a wheel bearing, and that was expensive, $638 for that work. Then at 112,000 miles, the transmission went. And I used to be a service writer at Ford, so I went to a mechanic that used to work there, a trans guy, and I gave him $900 cash to fix the transmission and put a new clutch in it, and that did not last but a week. And I couldn't find that guy anymore, so of course his cell phone went out of service, and he was fired from the dealership for something not related. I don't know what happened to him, but so I knew the guys at Amco had done a good job on it previously, so I took it to them to put another transmission in. They did, clutch, everything, and it worked great. But you know, used parts, there's no warranty on used parts. That transmission lasted about 35,000 miles. That's terrible. So I had to put another one in. And I think they were around $900 each time I put one in. Then, soon after that, the water pump went again. So I'm having, this car was a piece of junk. Just replaced parts that I've already replaced, just kept going bad. All the handles in the car were broken, like the door handles, any inside handles, knobs, all that stuff was broken. It was so cheap. But I was lucky the car wasn't a rust bucket, since it was never garaged. I don't think it had ever been washed before I got it. Then until recent, and then it started running rough. Or no, actually, before it started running a little rough, it had some normal issues, such as alternator battery, and it needed another 2 tires. I always replaced them in pairs, just because that was kind of the cycle I got on. And then it started running rough, and just kind of throwing parts at it, like spark plugs, put some new coils in it, wires, intake gasket, and it kept running rough. And at times it just had no power at all. So took it to an actual Hyundai dealership to get it diagnosed, and they said that the number 4 cylinder was low on compression. So that was it. I just put a little bit of money into it, with the alternator, the battery, tires, something else, I think. But I figure over the course of those 3 years, I spent about $5,500 on repairs. And even with the oil changes and the tires, with the 97,000, it came out to about $150 a month to operate that vehicle, which is not bad. And consider that if I had bought a used vehicle or financed some type of vehicle, I still could have had repairs on top of that. So I do consider it a win. And the big point I want to make with this is, if you've been thinking about getting into detailing, but you don't think you have the right car or something like that, I mean, this was the worst piece of crap that you could have. Most unreliable vehicle I've ever had. It's about my 4th or 5th mobile vehicle that I've used for mobile detailing, and it was terrible, but it still paid off. And the point is that there's no excuse not to just get out there and start doing it if you've been thinking about doing it. And also, if you check out my very first video, my cheap mobile detailing setup, I'm still using that setup today. That's what I have in the back of the Santa Fe. It has hardly changed. It's changed very little. I do have I'm probably using mostly different chemicals than when I started, and I'll do a separate video on that soon. But if you look at that video, I show you how to get started for about $800. That's a generator, vacuum. If you want to start with buffers and polishing equipment, that's about another $400, but you really don't need it just to get started. You can do hand waxes and get by just fine, which I do still to this day, I do very little machine polishing. So if you figure, let's just take an average with the machine polishing tools, it was about $1,200. So, you know, an average between the 8 and the 12. Let's just take 1,000. Let's say you spend $1,000 on your setup, and I bought through my friend Ron at Makefield Motors. He had a customer that was selling an '05 Santa Fe, and he had just inspected the vehicle, so he'd driven the vehicle. It was kind of like getting a pre-purchase inspection for free. You know, he said the vehicle's good, and I think you could get it for like $1,000. So I went and looked at it, and yep, it was a young girl, and she just wanted to get a new car. She was going to lease a new vehicle, and I gave him $1,000 for it. And it just shows you, so far it's been great. I'll show you a little bit of it in this video. But the point also is that that's one of the reasons I think especially mobile detailing is a good business to get into if you've ever thought about it, or being in your own business. You know, the startup costs are low. The training is minimal. You can go, I think you could go on YouTube and learn everything you need to know just by watching a few videos. There's not that much to it. If if you've been cleaning cars, it's a hobby of yours, then you're probably good to go. You know what to do pretty much. So it's easy entry, easy to get started, and just recently with the pandemic, I did well. I kept working. As long as somebody was going to have me come to their house, I was definitely going to go, or wherever they had me come work or whatever. So it proved to be good, you know, during a crisis, and that's one of the great things about it is job security. There's always going to be dirty cars, and mobile detailing is a really convenient way to do it. I have seen some guys that I know open shops or that I follow on Instagram, and some of them haven't worked in a couple months, or their shop hasn't been open. So, you know, in some of my other videos, I also talk about trying to get into a shop and stuff, but I think that the universe is trying to tell me stick with the mobile, so that's what I'm going to do for now. That's what I'm going to focus on. And another point that I think is important about using a regular vehicle as opposed to like a work van with a water tank and something like that, people don't assume that you're a car wash, you know, that I'm just going to pull up and do I charge $40 for a mini detail if I do one, and I do very few because people don't view me as a car wash. They view me, you know, they see it as only detailing. So I don't have regulars. I don't encourage people that get started to do regulars. I did when I got started, and I thought that was the thing to do. But looking back and doing it now again, you really just want to do full details, the biggest job you can. Especially now, gas prices, price of your chemicals, that type of thing. There's a lot of costs, and it doesn't really pay for you to drive an hour or a half hour even somewhere just to do a wash. And I think just having it, you know, in a car, I think the minimum car that you should use is probably like the size of a Toyota Corolla. The Santa Fe I have now is great. It more than fits all my stuff. I could even put more stuff in there if I wanted to, but I'm probably just going to leave it, you know, pretty much the same way I had in the Accent. But I think that's a good thing about doing it out of a regular type of vehicle. Again, people don't see you as a car wash, so they're not trying to have you come weekly, and it just got to be a grind coming every week somewhere to do the same car when you could have been somewhere else doing a big job. So I know a lot of people, you know, think that weeklies and washes are the bread and butter, that type of thing, but I would advise that you try to avoid them. So here is the replacement rig, '05 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's got a scrape on the bumper there. Looks like most of that will buff off. I'm gonna polish the headlights, And it's overall, it's not horrible. 155,000. It looks, the body looks all original. Doesn't look like it's been in any accidents. It's got a painted pinstripe, which is coming off with some compound. So I'm probably going to polish that off. It's got door edge guards. I already took one off. So I'm going to take those off, and it looks like, you know, they weren't trying to hide any scratched up doors or anything. It looks like they were just on there for protection. So I'm going to get rid of those, and fits my stuff real good. You know, much better than the Accent, of course. Maybe I'll take the debadge it, take all that chrome off. Definitely going to take that Fred Bean off. That's the dealer that it was at. So pretty happy with it. Interior is actually very clean. I did clean it up a little already. I got these mats out of the Accent, put them in there. They were all good. You know, so just clean it up a little. Take care of some of that door edge guards and just get it as good looking as I can. Carpets in here are a little dirty, but they're in good condition. They should come out like brand new, the mats and everything. So, and then just show you the back seat and everything, you know. So I got a lot of room to do stuff in here and carry all my stuff, and so far so good. Alright, so there's an update of my rig situation. Please follow on Instagram at ShineLabDetail. I have pictures of the Santa Fe, and I just buffed it up today. I used the Ultra Finish with high speed wool polishing pad, and then I followed with a foam polishing pad, white foam polishing pad. And I'll probably hit it again in a week or so with the DA polisher. You know, just keep it nice, spread the niceness over a period of time. I'm not just going to do it all at once and be done with it, which I could, you know, but give me something to do in about a week, something to look forward to on it. So check out the Ultra Shine Polish. That's available on the website, www.shinelabdetailing.com. I got an order today for it. I think somebody saw my last 2 Instagram posts, and they are impressive. If you look at that Nissan van that I did, that was probably the worst conditions that you could have had for waxing a vehicle. Yesterday it was 91 degrees in New Jersey, bright sun, no shade, a huge black van. It was in good condition, I'll give it that. Somebody had actually run a high-speed polisher over it. It had love bugs all over the front, those Florida love bugs, and they eat right through the paint. That's the fastest I've ever seen any insect etch the paint, and it had pretty much destroyed on the hood. It would have to be repainted. But the rest of the vehicle, you can see on the Instagram, is in good shape, and the polish, it's perfect. Especially if you're a mobile detailer, you know, you're always out in different conditions, you can't control your environment. You want something that's going to work good in the sun, on a hot car, even on black paint. This product does not freeze in the winter. You can use it high speed. It's just really good stuff. If you're a mobile guy, I really encourage you to check it out. And if you're a weekend detailer, you'll love it as well. So anyway, please check that out. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Take care. Have a great day.